Well, for me, I think the most important contribution NESC has given is the ability to get a strategic overview and bring people on the journey of building that strategic overview. Kind of that merging of knowledge, the creation of new knowledge by actually deep listening, deep talking. That to me is the essence of what NESC is. And it's given us the capacity to look at our bigger problems in a more holistic, systematic kind of way and bringing people on board towards the solutions. I think if you look at other countries, they tend to have a lot more think tanks, and maybe the roles of universities in providing some of that knowledge analysis is more visible. Whereas in Ireland, I think NESC fills a very important gap in our institutional capacity to think. And to think over a long period. So that's the knowledge NESC holds from agreement to agreement, from government to government, over decades, has actually been really important in building up an understanding. I think some of the NESC documents, like for example, the 1996 ICE Inclusion, Competitiveness and Employment, shows the substance of getting inclusion on the agenda of NESC and the visibility of the issues coming through very much. I think the strength of NESC is that capacity to deliberate. The previous director, Rory O'Donnell, called it common knowledge events, but the idea of pulling together different actors, merging the knowledge and creating new understanding is going to be more and more important as we get into the more existential challenges of climate and inequality, because I believe they're both sides of the same coin. They need to be tackled together. I think NESC has a clear role to play in that. I would hope that NESC would be opening up an agenda where new ways of understanding how we need to move forward to tackle both climate change and inequality will be much more common, and NESC will be a core actor in enabling that deliberation to happen. And it needs to happen locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. So there's probably different levels and different spaces that NESC will be moving in and out of that might even be new to NESC in that context. But I think the very fact that people are still in the process, they're still in NESC, they find the deliberation, the space, the place to be, they recognise the value of being there. I think that speaks to itself as well. I mean, Ireland in the 80s was the basket case, kind of the typical very high levels of inflation, unemployment, migration, emigration. And it really needed a capacity to think differently about what needed to be done. So I think NESC played a really key role there in setting up the process of deliberation whereby different actors could come together and could take risks and could begin to trust each other in a new understanding about what needed to happen. So it did that for Ireland, if you like, and then it's done that in an ongoing way since, maybe not with the same degree of impact. But I think right now Ireland is facing into a time when that necessity to really understand collectively how to turn the ship in a different direction in the context of what we need to do about climate change and inequality. I really think that we need a political, with a small p, process that enables us to really put our common knowledges together. Take gender, for example, making sure that care is part of the way of understanding how we need to respond to climate change and inequality is a really important thing. And I think we need the processes that help us do that. And those understandings then filter out into the real political system, both through civil society and through political parties and through the parliamentary system. But NESC often is the start of the thinking, the start of the deliberation. The institutional richness that was there maybe before the banking crisis is less now, and NESC therefore has heavier lifting to do to make sure that the breadth of issues that need to be considered are considered going forward.